What can you do to have a greater impact on your next speech or presentation? Hi, I'm Tim Barnaby. I'm a certified world-class speaking coach. I help business professionals speak, lead, and succeed in their careers, their communities, and their life. Today I want to share with you a tip around trimming your stories and how that will have a greater impact on your next speech or presentation. People who are out there delivering speeches and presentations have a lot of detail, and that can be very tiresome on your audience. Depending on who they are and what they're expecting, there may be a little bit too much being added that it's taking away from their experience. I have been taught about how to deliver great stories, and part of it is setting up an image in the audience's mind. There's a level of detail that needs to be communicated to them so that they have a picture of what it is that you are telling them about. And then, of course, the real impact is making them feel like they are a part of that story. But the level of detail that you need to get into may or may not need as much detail as you think it needs. One of the people that I learned from is Michael Port, and he has a great TED Talk with his wife Amy, where in the middle of it, he shares the story about the old man, the boy, and the donkey. That is literally the setup of his story. There's an old man, a boy, and a donkey, and they're going to town. Now, he doesn't talk about their ages, he doesn't talk about their relationship, he doesn't even state specifically where they're going other than a town. And you can imagine that what kind of time they may be in if there is two people and a donkey going to a town. You might think back to biblical times. You might be thinking about just a part of the world where they still use donkeys to get around in. But he never really needed to give that level of detail, because at the end of his story, which I won't give away, but there is not going to be anything more that story needs other than who the characters are and what they are doing in the moment of that part of the story. So here's your action step for this week. Take a look at that next speech or presentation and go out and test with your audience or a sample audience and ask them that question. Ask them to listen to the specific story or stories that you tell, and ask them if they feel there's information in it that they don't believe helped advance the story or made an impact on the message at the end. And then retell the same speech to a different audience without that key piece of information, and ask them if they still had the same impact, if they still understood what the message or key takeaway point was. And then, of course, it's an evolution. Some people might need it in, other people might need it out, so maybe it's a combination of both, trimming, cutting it back, or not necessarily cutting it out, and just revising the wording, or just taking a little bit off to make it work within the confines of what it is that you're trying to communicate. So let me know in the comments below about your experiences with the trimming of your speeches. Did it help your audience? Did it help your speech become more effective? I'd love to hear from you directly, so put a comment below. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and check out my social media profiles on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I'm also available at my website, timbarnaby.com, for more information about the services in which I offer. Well, that's all for this week. I hope you're able to use the speaking tip to make your next speech or presentation a success. And I wish you all the luck in the world. And until we meet again, here's to your speaking success.